Hi, welcome to InFocus Recouched. We've got a great half hour of highlights lined up for you this week that are really going to get you thinking and maybe even singing.
Oh, singing! Not me though, luckily.
No.
We'll see an interview today with a father and daughter who are involved in music ministry. We'll tackle the thorny issue of euthanasia, as well as checking out some 2,500-year-old Babylonian bricks.
We'll take a look at those bricks in just a few minutes. First up though, this is Danielle Sinnott and Trafford Fisher with some great tips for avoiding regrets.
Regrets, I've had a few.
Now today we're talking about things that you will regret not doing.
Yes, yeah.
How big's the list? Boy.
Yeah, look, there's lots of things I regret doing, serious. But there's a few things I regret not doing. Some things that I've failed to do.
And
there was a neat article I came across the other day talking about what are some things you might regret not doing in a relationship, in a marriage or in a relationship. And the first one was failing to turn off the electrical or digital stuff when you're together. Yeah. So, look, my wife and I, we fail a bit of this because generally tea time is news time, we watch the news and we eat together, and I think I should turn this off and talk, but I'll just watch this now.
That's right.
And I think there's a sense of, look, turn it off and, and chill out and spend some time. Now, look, there are times when you do digital stuff together, doing the mobile. But seriously, there's so much stuff coming out now about, the digital world we live in and the impact of iPhones, iPads on relationships. And they are finding we are breeding a generation of lonely people. Which is, you think, we got Twitter, Facebook, we're all going to be connected. The very opposite is. So that's kind of interesting. So we need to remember that.
Disconnected, connecting in a sense. No Skyping across the lounge room. Okay,
no
next
Skype
one.
across the lounge room. Number 2, compliment your partner every day. Now, here's the thing. Women thrive on communication, men thrive on affirmation. So you tell your husband, you say, wow, look at I love the way you do the lawn. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Beautiful tie, Trafford.
No, tell him he does a great job of the lawn. He'll be out there at night with a torch mowing the lawn. Now, look, us guys thrive on affirmation. I think we need to affirm each other and say, hey, look, I love the way you do this, I love the way you do that. And I think the next one is do that particularly in front of others. Right? So if I'm standing around with a group of my mates and my wife comes, it's easy for me to say, brace yourself, man, here comes a second mortgage, If we can say, have you met the princess? Have you met my number one? Yeah. So I think that idea of praising our partner, because often we can be tempted to put them down. Some bit of a joke. We may, my wife's not much of a cook, but, I survived.
No, the princess stuff's always chicken soup for the soul for a woman.
Exactly.
What else?
I think another one is they suggested, and I think rightfully so, we need to repair conflict earlier.
Wow, great one.
Yeah. So, the temptation is sometimes to hang on to a little bit of that pain. No, I'm just going to carry this a bit longer, add a bit more punishment. And I think the idea is if we will regret not doing something about conflict, finishing it earlier.
Yeah.
I think the last one was carving out time alone on a regular basis. Now, I found that wording fascinating. Carve out time. Yeah. It sounds like something we've actually got to make
time.
We've actually got to do it. Someone said a statement. Time is like money. Tell your money where to go, don't ask it where it's gone. And I think it's the same with time. Tell your time where to go. Where's time gone? We're in charge of it. Yeah. So carve it out, say this is our time, nothing's going to cut in on that. And I think we'll regret not doing that.
Well, that's the reality, isn't it, Traff? As far as time, we don't know how much we've got, and when our time's up, our time's up. And that's when the regrets are there, aren't they?
Yep.
Well, great to have you with us again, Traff. We always love your insights.
Appreciate
it. Lovely tie. Matches your eyes.
Thank you. I'm feeling good.
Fantastic.
Welcome to History in Focus. I'm Adam Kavanagh, and today we're with Gary Webster talking about bricks. But Gary, they're not just any bricks. I was going to say they're not just any old bricks.
They certainly
are. They're extremely old bricks.
Yeah. These date back to about 2,600 years old.
These actual bricks. So normally you bring in replicas of things. We've seen, miniatures of a whole bunch of different stones from around the world.
This is the real McCoy.
This is a real 2,500-year-old brick.
Yeah. And what's more important is some of this writing here, you'll notice. These are bricks from Nebuchadnezzar's building period in Babylon.
So actual bricks from Babylon itself,
Absolutely,
ancient Babylon.
yeah. You may recall in the 4th chapter of Daniel, Nebuchadnezzar boasts on one occasion. He says, "Is not this great Babylon that I built?" Mighty city it was, but he really,
he was quite proud of it.
Yeah, he had
and
an ego problem.
Bricks that can stand the test of 2,500 years, I think I'd be pretty proud of as well myself.
But the fact that we know these are Nebuchadnezzar's bricks, and there's many of them in museums today, whole ones in actual fact as well. It says that what the Bible says is actually quite true, because is not this Babylon that I built, the Neo-Babylonian city? And when you go to Germany today, to Berlin, you see these Ishtar gates. You've probably heard of them.
Very impressive looking gates.
They are. Well, just off to the edge of them, you'll notice this huge inscription here. And when you read this, it actually says, listen, Nebuchadnezzar laid the foundation of these massive gates. So again, hey, he did do what he said. The Bible says he did. Yeah.
Yeah, and Nebuchadnezzar, I guess, we know as the wicked king, a lot of us.
Yeah, well, you read what the Bible says and the way sometimes they acted in those times. Yeah, but what is amazing is this guy came to realise that God was a God who cared about him.
Yeah, and so we see, he took the Israelites captive, didn't he?
And destroyed their temple.
So he wasn't a nice guy.
Well, not as far as the Jews were concerned.
Yeah.
But that's amazing in itself, isn't it? Here he destroys the very temple of God, and God goes after him. He wants to help this man to find the best in life.
Yeah, and really by the end of his days, he came around, didn't he?
He did. Well, it says in that chapter, he says, he lived like an animal.
Yeah.
And by the way, we have a tablet that actually indicates that very story in Daniel chapter 4. And anyway, that's another story. But he looked up and he said, basically, God help me. And God, in his kindness, this pagan king became a believer in the God of heaven.
Praise the Lord that he's as long-suffering with Nebuchadnezzar. Let's hope that, we might get the same patience in return. Thanks for that, Gary.
That is so cool. Imagine holding a 2,500-year-old brick in your hand.
Yeah, I know. I guess we don't get to do that kind of thing in Australia too often. I mean, unless you're looking at an Aboriginal cave painting or something.
That's true.
Yeah, it's pretty special, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Time for an ad break now. We'll be back in a moment.
We live our lives running around, rarely stopping to ask ourselves where we're going and what our final destination is. In the end, our lives become little more than routine. Step beyond and discover a path that offers comfort, love and hope. Visit hopeoffer.com/step beyond or call 1300 300 389 for your free copy today.
We're going to start with some soybeans. Use some chickpeas, an onion, we have a teaspoon of salt, slice some tomatoes, slice some cucumber, some red onion just to give it a bit of freshness. So just make little falafels like this. They just smell amazing. Let's make our tahini dressing. Let's get in some tomatoes, cucumbers, some falafels. Drizzle some of this lovely dressing. All you need to do is roll it up and you've got a delicious lunch for your family.
Hi, welcome back. Now, I remember this singing group, Dora, Endless Praise, coming to my church when I was just a teenager. Yes, it was a long time ago.
But just like you, Ken, Endless Praise have resisted the temptation to go old school. They're keeping it fresh.
Yeah. Hey, you're too kind, Dora. Let's take a look. Well, you might think it would be awfully glamorous to sing on the stage. But if you had to do it 200 times every year, keep that smile plastered on your face, looking great, voice in great condition, well, that might be a bit harder, eh, Priscilla?
Not necessarily.
No, it's easy, is it?
No.
200 times a year, you're up in front of a stage and you love it every time, in front of an audience.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be fake or perfect or anything like that. It's the reason behind why we do what we do that keeps us going. It's actually... I'm not a big morning person, but getting up early and travelling to a destination, however far away it is, and doing what we do is something that is an incredibly big gift that I see from God. And I think this is my time, this is this season that I'm doing this, and I'm never going to get an opportunity to speak to this crowd again or sing to this crowd. So I've got to give it everything I've got.
Wow.
Yeah. And it is challenging, but it is incredibly rewarding, and most of the time I think we get some of the biggest blessings out of it. So
I bet.
Yeah.
Now this is a bit of a family business for you, isn't it, Priscilla? And we've got your dad here, Peter Mellerton, roadie, AK, manager? What do you call yourself, Peter?
Director of the group.
Director of the group.
Now, but when we started 30 years ago, I was just a singer.
Yep.
Joined the group and changed my life and never looked back ever since.
Wow.
Back in the day when we just started off as just doing special items. And then
so just church performances, worship service,
And then all of a sudden we started realising that people's lives were being changed. My life was one. You know, I left the church, wasn't interested in God. These guys, originally Spanish singers back in the day, came along and I was invited to come and sat down and it changed my life. I committed myself to God and it's never changed ever since.
Wow. So you weren't quite a founding member, but you were pretty close. Yeah.
When we went full-time 30 years ago, yes, founding member.
Wow.
But it was like, we were doing part-time 8 years before that. And then the ministry started developing. We thought, you know, we could do something with this thing. But we came from the very beginning. It's not about singing, it's about presenting what God has put in our hearts to other people.
Yeah, because I mean, every weekend in a lot of churches, you know, around the world, someone will get up and sing a song, and that was wonderful. Yeah. We were blessed by that.
Yeah.
But taking that to this full-time ministry, like how was that possible to do that?
The thing is that I see is that back then we started to feel that it's so important for us to portray that God is love in the hearts of individuals. And we found out that as time went on, we didn't want to be weekend warriors or weekend entertainers. It's very easy to be a good singer, a Christian singer, but what do you do in ministry-wise? And doors started opening for us, which was totally unexpected. And we just packed our bags, left Australia, and went overseas for 1 year through the South Pacific, Canada, and all the way down to Chile, South America, Argentina, Uruguay, United States. And we went for a year, and we didn't know whether we were going to come back or stay over there. We didn't even know what was happening.
And basically the people you were singing to were giving free will offerings to keep sustained. So it was a real thing of...
It was a real thing of faith. Yeah. And it's never stopped. Every year we are singing. Every year we have singers coming. We've had 123 now, who've been in the ministry full-time for 30 years now.
So there's sort of a rotating roster of singers through the years. So Priscilla, when you're up the front there, I mean, it's a performance, and you've got to project. You know, you've got to be fun to listen to, fun to look at. But you're also there to represent God and to bring a spiritual message. Is it difficult to sort of use your ego but put your ego aside at the same time? Is that a tricky balance some days?
For me, I believe God is a God of fun. God is a creative God. God is an incredible God, and that's what we're portraying. So for me, it's never about ego, and it's never about, am I looking good doing this? Even though sometimes that can come into your head and it's like, oh, it's not about me, it's about what we're presenting. We sing in schools where most of the kids in Christian schools aren't Christian. So if we came along and did, you know, like hymns all the time and stuff, we might not necessarily get their attention because that would be for a different audience. So we want to come across that we are in this generation, speaking
you're fresh,
in this,
you're contemporary, sure.
And what you see on stage is who we are off stage as well. So that's why we bring up a lot of diversity, and we want to be like, we love to laugh, we love to muck around, so we take that on stage as well, because we want it to be a very real sense that God is in our lives every day, not just for the 20 minutes or an hour that we're on stage.
Wow. Now, you've got a 30-year anniversary concert coming up in November, is that right? Yeah. Have you got a website people can get on to check out, like, where that is, and or just more about the ministry? I mean, are you recruiting? Are you looking for young people with talent?
The best place to contact us is through Facebook.
Okay.
So that's the most up-to-date at the moment. Our website is kind of under construction. So Facebook, Endless Praise, and it's the last weekend of November, and it will be held in Sydney.
Okay.
So details will be posted up.
Okay.
Yeah.
But of course, the Facebook page has links to other videos and...
We're every day our guys are putting up like blogs or devotionals or photos or stuff about what's happening.
Okay, now look, just one question just before we finish, because we are practically out of time. I understand you have a strict policy because you've got a lot of attractive, talented young people here in this group, constantly new people coming, and there's a strict no dating policy between members. I understand that.
Yeah.
But somehow you've managed to create more than 12 marriages between your members over that 30 years. Can you please explain to me how well that rule is enforced, the no dating rule? Peter Malleton, Peter Malleton, father of Priscilla, who just married someone else from Endless Praise.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Peter, but it's not looking too good for you right now.
Well, actually, it is good because when you come into ministry, the focus is on what has God called you in for.
Yeah.
And we do have this policy where we don't have people who have dating within the group. Reason being because it's so easy in every ministry to be distracted.
Yeah.
We're there to do a mission. It's a 24/7 campaign. We do over 200 programs a year, 110 schools a year. We do public and private schools. We have to be focused 24/7 every day.
Yeah.
When we're not singing during the week, we're rehearsing and setting up and developing new programs. We do multiple workshops in schools.
Yeah.
So that alone does not allow time. If we're not a dating agency, all right? But you know, God is good, and in His joy and love, He brings people together under very strict. And because, you know, the gospel has all the rules for us. We don't need to sort of add anything else to it. And I know that Priscilla is now happily married. It's my daughter, and I have a son-in-law now.
Yep.
But God is the God of joy. He's a God of love. And if we do the right thing with Him, He will always honour. And I have found that over the years with all the people that we've had in the group, they've been honoured. If you give to God, He comes back tenfold.
Yeah.
That's a living testimony of what Endless Praise is all about.
Awesome.
Yeah.
They're cool guys, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, really excited by what they're doing, I reckon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I've actually gotten to know Priscilla a bit better since then. She's a youth leader from a church in my area, and she's really been making an impact, even on my own boys, which is great, yeah.
Time for an ad break now. Stay with us. We're tackling a really tough issue when we return, euthanasia.
Father, I can't connect the dots through the little that I understand. What words can I say to reach you? How can I know that you are there, listening, hearing, caring? My words are broken, weak, and powerless. But I know your power is limitless. What can I say?
Planning your future can be a daunting task. What you want to do, who you want to be, and the road ahead can often be unpredictable. No one really knows what the future holds. Avondale. It's education designed for life.
Hi, welcome back. Now, one of our most popular personalities on InFocus would have to be Danielle Sinnott. So much fun to be around. But in this next interview, she's chatting with Dr. Michael Burke about a pretty serious issue.
Let's take a look.
Now, you are a practicing Christian yourself.
Yes, I've been a Christian since the age of 20. God's been working in my life over several decades now. And I work in the area of health. I'm a medical professional, and I deal with people who present with a whole range of different and difficult physical and mental and social and at times spiritual problems.
Okay. Now, you said you became a Christian at age 20. Were you studying medicine at that point?
At that point of the time, I was a university student. I hadn't yet commenced studying medicine, but I was fortunate to meet people that had a great love for God. And that motivation in their lives was very powerful, and I was intrigued by that, and I wanted to find out what the basis for that was. And they pointed me to the Gospels, to the story of Jesus, and over a period of time, God very kindly led me to understand that Jesus was an historical figure who lived and died and rose from the dead, and his life has had significance for many people, and of course has great significance for me.
Yeah. So your spiritual life is obviously a very important part of who you are. On the other side of that, you are a medical professional. Some people would see those as two quite different areas. How do you get them to interact on a daily basis?
That's a very good question. I think it's very important that we understand people in their totality, and a person's story has got many parts to it. We're created very much with arms and legs, So we have a physical nature, but we also have emotional stories and social opportunities, and also we very much have a spiritual component to who we are. Part of our story is very much our values and our expectations, and I think in treating the whole person, it's very important to try and understand who they are in their context, who they are in their life story, and for many people, their spiritual beliefs are a very important part of that.
Okay. So in your role now, you are heading up the fellowship itself.
Yes, the Christian Medical and Dental Fellowship has got a 60-year history. It's got 650 or so members.
That's
dentists.
quite a lot of members, isn't it?
Yes, great people
yeah.
all over the country, from the very young to the very senior. We have medical doctors and dentists and allied health professionals in the group, and we aim to meet and encourage and support each other as we reflect on how our Christian values and our Christian understandings impact on the way we engage in our professional work. We seek very much to encourage students. We seek very much to encourage overseas work, as we see that God's given us some fantastic opportunities and we can utilise those serving communities here in Australia, but we're also in a position where we can use those skills and that knowledge to serve communities in other parts of the world. We're concerned with providing social support for our members,
yeah.
and we're also interested in very much engaging with the issues of the day.
So it's very much a supportive fellowship there. And I understand that earlier in the year there were some quite clear statements made about a controversial topic, and that topic being euthanasia. What led up to that?
Well, we have historically been very involved with healthcare. The basis of healthcare is really the Judeo-Christian model, and that paradigm very much affirms the importance and the integrity of human life. And we see discussions around euthanasia are starting to challenge that and raise important questions. And we need to, I think, listen very carefully to those arguments as the world is changing, and the opportunities to intervene and help people through medical science is certainly changing.
What are some of those challenging views, Michael, on euthanasia?
Well, there are people wanting to put interventions in place that would artificially bring to a conclusion a person's physical life.
Okay, so legalising euthanasia essentially?
Yes, we find that is disturbing and I think causes significant problems both for individuals and communities, but also the population in general, because the society needs very much to fully engage with its responsibilities to respect the integrity and to respect the right to a worthwhile life and a life that is not in any way damaged or unduly influenced by legislative interventions or coercive practices.
Okay. So, here's a story we hear so often in the media when euthanasia is portrayed, and the different views that people have on euthanasia, where, say, you have a patient in hospital suffering with cancer, very close to the end of their life, wanting to be, I guess you would say, put out of their misery. What is the difference between administering large doses of morphine and practicing euthanasia?
Well, we know that cancer is a very difficult collection of diseases and causes great distress and is often a cause of death. We also know at the time of diagnosis that maybe a third of people with cancer will have significant pain, but as the cancer progresses, inevitably nearly all will actually have very significant pain. As medical professionals, we're called to relieve suffering and to provide the best application of medical science to upholding and supporting the life and the quality of life of the individual. Pain relief is a crucial part of that set of practices.
Yep.
Morphine is a very useful tool, and certainly in people that have got significant pain, morphine is able to offer significant relief. We see that as a very important part of palliative care, but that's very different to using morphine aggressively where the primary intention is to end life.
Yeah.
Our position would be that it's appropriate and certainly within our traditions and our understandings that morphine be used to minimise pain and where that is the primary intention, we feel quite comfortable with that.
Is that not playing God, even extending life?
I think the autonomy of the individual needs to be fully respected. I think the medical profession and the community is coming to understand those issues even more. So in my practice, I'm very keen to encourage people to look at considering their options through various kinds of mechanisms, such as advanced life directives, and to engage with the level of intervention that they really feel comfortable with. We're certainly not, as a profession, or certainly not as Christians within the profession, called to unduly prolong life, which is contrary to the intentions and the wishes of the individual.
Fantastic. Michael, it's been great having you with us today. Thank you for informing us on that. I understand you have a booklet where that people can get some extra information on euthanasia in Australia.
Yes, the book is available from the Christian Medical and Dental Fellowship of Australia website. So Christian Medical and Dental Fellowship of Australia website, and we see this as a key resource for people wanting to engage with the complexity and the many challenges associated with this important issue.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Danielle.
You know, it's interesting, Dora, that for many Christians, it seems to be a foregone conclusion that when it comes to euthanasia, there's only one real Christian view, and that's just a flat no. But
yeah,
I actually don't think Christians are any more unified on the topic than anyone else.
Yeah, and that's probably true, Ken. But if you think Dr. Michael Burke and his crew are out of step with what other doctors think of euthanasia, you'd be wrong.
Okay.
The Australian Medical Association, or AMA, has officially been opposed to euthanasia like forever, and it's only recently that they've started wondering if they should change their view to neutral.
Okay, wow, just neutral. Well, there you go. And you'd think those guys would know more about the topic than most of us, wouldn't you?
Yeah, totally.
Very interesting. Well, we should probably call it a wrap for this week. Thanks so much for your company.
Yeah, it's been great having you. See you next time. God bless.
What would society be like if we had no laws and no police to enforce them? What if the social contract we've all entered into didn't exist? Some might say we'd be free to do whatever we wanted. Sounds great, but what if that meant I wanted to kill you or to take your house? It would be the law of the jungle. Kill or be killed. You could never feel safe.
To receive a free DVD of the documentary Beyond Rules, visit hopeoffer.com/rules or call 1300 300 389.